everyone, and welcome to the beautiful Arizona desert. I'm Casey, this is Jess, we are with ATV.com, and today we are shooting a Learn to Shift video. Now the purpose of this video is to essentially show you how easy it can be to learn how to shift a manually shifted vehicle, such as this Yamaha YXZ1000R. Now this one is available in two different versions. You either have a manual or a sport shift version like this one, which has paddle shifters, which is awesome. However, it's got an automatic clutch, so you don't have to use a third pedal or anything or be worried about it stalling. Now I think this is going to be really fun because you have a lot of experience on road, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Motorcycles and also cars. So this is going to be different though because I haven't shifted an off-road vehicle before with paddle shifters. So I think it'll be a really fun experience.
Yeah, and this thing has some really cool features built in where again, it doesn't want to stall if you're going up a hill. So it gives you that confidence to be able to tackle pretty much any terrain you want. And we're going to be going through some pretty different terrain here. We've got rocks, we've got wide open straights, we've got hill climbs, a little bit of everything. So we're going to put you in the driver's seat and see what you got.
Awesome. I'm excited.
All right,
let's do this.
Right? So let's do a little show and tell with how the controls work and everything, because you got to know how to use the paddle shifters and put it in gear and stuff. So
got it.
Let's do it. Let's start there. All right, so let's go over some of the basic controls that we have here. So instead of a park, we have a parking brake right here. All right, and that's easily actuated just by that, just like a car would be. And then we've got our gear selector. So you put your foot on the brake from there, and you can shift from neutral, which the gear selector is always in, over to drive or reverse. So left and up is drive, like that. And then left and down is reverse, and the gear selector automatically goes back to its neutral position right there. Then you've got your four-wheel drive and light buttons right there, so you can easily put it in four-wheel drive when you're going down the trail. Nice thing about the Yamaha too, and we found this out the other day, is that the four-wheel drive goes in at any speed. You just flip the throttle and put it in four-wheel drive, which is really nice on this, so you can be confident going up hills. The biggest thing here is we've got these paddle shifters. We've got up on the right there. We've got down on the left, and they're stationary. So you always know where they are around the wheel. They don't move with the wheel, which is really nice. So you don't have to be guessing. You always know where they are. There's nice big handles on there, so you can access it anywhere you want. So that's about it for the basic controls. You've got a key fob to start it up. So I say we start it up. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, so now that we're inside the vehicle, normal procedure for anytime you start a UTV, you're going to put your foot on the brake and turn the key to the on position, fire it up. Life's good. So there you go. Now, again, foot on the brake, you're going to take your parking brake off, and this it gives you a little indication on there that the machine is actually in neutral. So that's it. If it's not, then you just pull the gear selector back. Neutral, you're ready to go. So now, with the sport shift in the Yamaha, everything is to the left on the gear shift, and then up is drive, down is reverse, so put it into drive. All right, awesome. And then your foot's still on the brake, so you can ease your foot off the brake, right, all the way, and you're just going to give it a little bit of gas. That automatic clutch, you'll be able to feel it engage a little bit as the engine revs up, and you're just going to make a smooth takeoff. Look at that. Not too shabby, right? It's pretty smooth when you're starting to take off. So again, one of the beautiful things about specifically the 2019 and newer version of the Yamaha YXZ is that the gearing is lower in this, and especially in first gear. So you can crawl a lot slower, essentially, than you could in previous model years. It goes about 5 miles an hour, which is great and easy to take off from when you're starting from a stop. So then When you get up to, I don't know, about 10, 15 miles an hour, you're going to feel the engine rev up a little bit, and you're going to just pull that right paddle just as you normally would, except you don't have to push a clutch in, nothing. Just pull the paddle, look at that. And just like that, you're in second gear. It's nice because they also redid the shift logic a little bit in this Yamaha YXZ, so it'll actually run at a little bit lower of an RPM than it would before. Now, it's still not going to stall on you, which is awesome, right? It gives you a lot of confidence on the trail, or at least it should, on there. And then you can kind of just cruise, and you don't have to listen to any loud engine noises. We call it short shifting, but basically you're shifting to where the engine's running at a lower RPM, and you're just kind of cruising right along. Again, that short shifting and just the ability to lug the engine more than previous model years. The YXZ is nice on a trail like this. It's just got rocks everywhere. You can slow down a little bit. You don't even have to downshift. It'll just basically run in the lower RPM much easier than before. And then if it does sense that you are too low of an RPM, then it will downshift for you so that you don't stall it. Just like that, yeah. That's perfect. See, second gear is all the way down to what, 7 miles an hour?
There, first gear.
And it downshifted for you. Perfect. So there you go. That's where the confidence lies, right? You don't have to worry about it stalling out on you at all. The other part that's really good, and you can do this on the trail actually, is if you're going down, say we're going 17 miles an hour right now, and you have an animal run out in front, or you have an obstacle coming up that you have to brake really hard for, and you forget that you need to pull down, that you should pull down on the paddle to downshift. Well, in the sport shift model, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, brake real hard. It didn't stall on you. How cool is that?
That's really cool.
So
That's
and then
awesome.
it'll just smoothly take away. It downshifted for you, didn't stall, and then normal procedure. You just did that smooth takeoff and pulling paddles, and you're good to go with upshifting. This is a nice smooth trail, so you can kind of let her fly a little bit. Now, one of the keys to learn how to upshift, basically, is to learn the right time to upshift, too. So, like on the street, you can kind of, I think you have a wider range of RPMs you can upshift, right?
Yeah.
So, like on your street bike, for example, did you tend to rev it out more, or did you tend to kind of lug it a little bit and just always shift at low RPMs?
I'll rev it high on
Rev
my
it
bike.
Like to go fast.
Yes. It's a sport bike.
Well, go that way.
Whee!
Sorry. YXZ, funny we had to make that sharp turn, but the YXZ is actually good for that because it's a rev-happy motor, and it'll go above 10,500 RPMs, that is. If you really want to get it up there, you can. Or, just the secret sauce to this particular vehicle is it's got a turbo on it, so you can actually lug it, and then it'll just dig down low and creep all the way up. It'll rev high. You're good to go, but for our purposes for this, you can pretty much rev it all the way from about $4,000 to that 10.5 or a little bit higher rev limiter, and you're set. See, and just like you did there, so instead of revving it out, you see an obstacle coming in, like we're going to go around the corner here, just downshifted. Pretty nice, because when you downshift, obviously revs the engine up. You're going to come into the corner, and if you let off the throttle, then it's got a little bit of a natural engine brake. It holds you back, it slows you down. That's another strategy with coming into a tight corner. You don't have to brake so hard. You can downshift this vehicle, and it will automatically slow you down as the engine revs up. It creates more back pressure on there, essentially.
So, I haven't seen where it tells me to shift yet. And maybe it's just because I'm not looking at the dash and I'm looking ahead. But
Yep.
I'm kind of waiting for it to tell me, just because I'm curious now.
So the shift light only comes on at, I believe it's about 9,500 RPMs. So you got to be rev pretty darn high for that to come on. So when you're going to go through these couple corners, you're going to hit a straightaway. You can leave it in first gear and basically rev it out You're not going to hurt it. And you'll see that shift light come on. Go ahead. You're going to go to the right.
It's not doing it.
You got to keep revving it higher.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
There
Oh,
you
it's
go.
that white light up there.
Yes, it's the white light.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
But good job in that. You revved it pretty much to the moon, it felt like, right? You didn't want to rev it that high.
No, I would. I feel like most people would be shifting it before that light goes on.
So, but you did a great job because you actually didn't even hit the rev limiter on there. So you revved it just high enough to hit the shift light, which, if that's what you're looking for all the time, and you can custom program that shift light to come on at a specific RPM. However, if that's what you use as your shift point, it's nice because you don't even have to hit the rev limiter to be able to see it. So good job. One other really cool thing I noticed about these new gearboxes, they're so smooth. When you pull an upshift, a lot of people think, oh man, you can't, have a clutch, or you don't have a clutch in a horse version like this, so you can't make the shifting really smooth. Well, it's not actually correct, because these new gearboxes are so nice and smooth that, man, you don't even have to worry about that. All right, so we're coming up on a pretty steep downhill. So again, you're going to downshift. There you go, just like that, to the left. Awesome. And do you feel how that just automatically slows you down?
Yes.
You're barely on the brakes. It's really nice how you can use the engine to actually slow you down there with a manually shifted car. Again, it just creepy crawls, holds you back as you go down the hill.
That hill looks fine.
Good.
And I think it's important that you mentioned, like, not having a clutch, and yet it's still really smooth, because I'm so used to a clutch, and so I would think that it would just be clunky, and it's not. So it's weird. It's still something I have to get used to, but it's nice not having to worry about that extra lever you have to pull.
Isn't that nice?
Mm.
And even for takeoffs and stuff, like, you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So I know we're not quite at this point, but when we get there, and I know we will with you, mark my words, people, when the full throttle action comes along, because it's addicting in this car, the smooth shifts continue. It's not just at low RPMs that this automatic transmission, or well, I should say automatic clutch transmission shifts smooth. It's all at full throttle, man. You can just punch it, and when it's all the way almost at red line, pull an upshift, and man, it just shifts super smooth still, which to me is still amazing. I don't understand how they do that with these vehicles. I will say too that when we're talking specifically to the Yamaha, the clutching, yes, the gearing is lower, but the clutch that they actually put in the 2019 and newer is upgraded. It's got a heavier duty clutch pack in it, and I think that makes a big difference too. The other way that heavier duty clutch pack makes a big difference is if you're starting from a standstill or going, basically starting on a hill. So if we were going up, so stop for a second. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it's got this function of the clutch where you can see the little green light that's on there, and that basically just comes on when the clutch is dragging up a hill. Now if it's dragging for too long, the system will automatically basically bump the clutch. And what that does is it gets the RPMs up a little bit. Yes, it's a little bit of a jolt in the vehicle, but it gets the RPMs up and allows you to take off a little bit faster, essentially. So that, number one, it saves the clutch. Number two, it gets you up the obstacle better, gets your speed up a little bit, and basically gets the tires rotating faster so that it's not spinning the clutch. So both functional for the transmission and operational for you as a driver, so that you have the confidence you're not hurting the vehicle, and it's also helping you get up the obstacle a little bit faster. Cool, so let's try it. We're up on the hill, and you're just going to take off like normal. Go ahead, a little more gas. Awesome. So if you drug it too long right there, it would basically bump it for you so that you could get up the hill.
Okay.
Gets the tires spinning a little faster, just helps you. So to relate that to a manually shifted model, you would basically be operating like that. You would be dragging the clutch with your foot and the clutch pedal instead of the system doing it for you. I think you're becoming a little racer girl right here.
Fine.
You're powering through the corners. I love it. Got a steep downhill. There you go. Look at you. This downshift, you ready to rock? You're already set up for the uphill that's coming up. Got a nice RPM going right in the middle of the RPM range, about 4 or 5 grand. Perfect. Nice thing is, too, is if you want to hold the gear for longer, because this vehicle revs so much higher, you can actually do that and kind of, you don't have to shift a whole lot as you go from obstacle to obstacle. You can hold your gear longer if you want to. Or, it doesn't really matter how many times you shift. You can keep pulling upshifts and downshifts as much as you want. Look at you. Getting into the high-speed stuff, you're pulling upshifts already, staying in that meat, right in the meat of the power band. See, and just in that instance, like I would have said, maybe that was a little bit too early of a shift, just because it bogged down a little bit.
Yeah.
However, it handled it just fine.
That's true.
Right? Well, that's another good example of you. You're doing a great job at not waiting until it actually downshifts for you. You're downshifting before you need to, but you're doing it as a driving technique. You're downshifting so that it slows down into the corner, gets you set up for the corner, and eventually, too, you'll see how that will actually make you a lot faster as you go through the desert, too. Not that you want to be speed racer all the time, but you could be if you wanted to be. But I also will say, if we're talking specifically about the Yamaha, it actually is making power, pretty damn good power, all the way up to the top of that curve of the RPM range. So once you did get used to it more, and I will say especially in different terrains like sand dunes, go to the right. Like sand dunes is really where you're going to use that top end of the RPM range. Not only keep your momentum up when you're in the sand, but just because it's darn good fun. Like if you have this car with the GYTR turbo on it, I mean, if you're all the way up in those high RPM range and you let off real fast, it's pretty rad because you can hear the butterfly. Basically, it's not actually a butterfly, but the blow-off valve on the turbo, you can hear it sputter, and that is one of the most satisfying sounds on the planet, I think. You know, you could liken that to the smell of race fuel, which I'm pretty sure you like.
Yep.
Good job using the RPM range to your advantage and be able to shift down. Look at you, already going through the whoops. Hey, girl. Look at, and there you go. Didn't stall on you.
And I didn't shift it.
Okay.
That hill came out quicker than I thought.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it. You don't know something's coming up, don't worry about it. You can just slam on the brakes. It won't stall, and then boom, you're right back on the throttle here, going through a fast wash and throwing up upshifts there.
I did it too soon on that one.
You're okay. You're learning.
Yeah.
Oh, I just did it.
What?
Learn how to shift, you're learning.
We're going up here?
Yep, there you go. You're good. So real slow, perfect. Just stay at that RPM, real smooth. Awesome. That was perfect. I couldn't have told you to do it any better than that because you just stayed on the throttle, real low throttle, real smooth, crawling right there, and just got to rock it. There you go.
That's why you wear a helmet.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Always.
nice.
But that's exactly what you want to do on a rock climb. Come up to it, real smooth throttle. I love it, man. You're already pulling up to the left. Full on Racer Rick over here, except Racer Jess.
It's fun.
It's pretty cool because you weren't so sure about the whole shifting thing right when we started.
Right. Not something I'm used to. And as much as I like to shift other vehicles, off-road riding is newer to me as a power sport.
Yeah.
That type of power sport. And so it's taken me a while to get used to varying terrain and hills and mountains and all that kind of stuff. And so to add on another way of driving was just something that I wasn't sure about, but it's definitely a lot of fun, and I can see myself
Yeah. Well, and just in the short time that we've been having you in here, I mean, you're already feeling way comfortable in this thing.
Yeah. Thank you for doing.
Well, that was the goal with this whole thing, is we want people like you, you know, to be able to go into a dealership and say, man, you know what, yeah, I want a vehicle that shifts. It's just so fun.
Well, I hope a lot of people get an opportunity to test this out or demo it.
Yeah.
It's definitely, once you get in the seat, you really understand it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that I'll say, too, is that if you're somebody watching this and you are hesitant about having a vehicle that shifts, there are demo areas all across North America, and I'm sure worldwide, that you can put your butt in the seat that Jess is sitting in and just go for a test ride. That way, you have somebody to show you what it's like, and you get to experience it for yourself, because I think that's the beauty of what you're saying, is that you, now that you've been able to experience it, you would consider a vehicle like this,
Yeah,
you know, to have.
exactly.
It's beautiful. It's all about that smooth throttle. You are so funny. Giving me a hard time about going fast. You're going just as fast as I was.
No, it's like this.
Pretty close. Maybe it's just different from the passenger seat. What do you think?
Maybe. It's a lot of fun. I like these slowly, windy, twisty roads,
Yeah.
trails, whatever.
Yeah, send it in there. That was awesome. Upshifted. You knew the wash was coming, so you upshifted, ready to go fast. That was cool. That was a beautiful upshift there, madame.
Thank you guys, sir.
Just kind of, stay in the main line. Awesome. Let it crawl right up. Little ledge like this. Just keep it going. You're good. Nice. Beautiful. Again, just that smooth throttle. That's what it takes to do this. And you really, even up the gnarliest obstacle, you'll feel the clutch engage if you go too slow. And then it'll bump it if you go really too slow. But as long as you keep it real smooth, you're not jerky on the throttle, and you just kind of really anticipate what's coming up ahead of you, you're going to be fine in a shifted car like this. Oh, and one other thing, too, that it gets mentioned all the time, and crazy jokes and stuff on the internet, but it is really nice to not have to worry about a belt drive and a belt blowing up on you. So, with this, yes, there is the obvious thing where you have one more thing to maintenance. The transmission in a YXZ is right here in between us, and you do have to change the oil in it and make sure that you're good to go. However, at the end of the day, these things are bulletproof, man. We have never experienced a problem with it. So, and you don't have to worry about carrying a belt with you. It's one more maintenance item, right? You don't have to worry about. So, it's a very big plus for having a transmission. Oh, man. She's already having fun with this. I love it. All right. So, at the end of the day, there's a couple things that you want to remember when you learn how to shift, especially when you're in a vehicle like this with the Yamaha YXZ1000R, and the Sport Shift version. So, first we learned that we want to have smooth takeoffs, right? So, she's getting with it here. These corners, you're clear.
Am I going this way?
Yeah, go that.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. You're fine. You're having a blast. I love it. So first, we want to have our smooth takeoff. So you want to get to know that when you let off the brake and you get on the gas, that you're basically getting on it and understanding how the clutch is working. Give it enough throttle to where it gets up to speed right away, and so you're not dragging the clutch too much. Once you get that down, your takeoffs will be easy, smooth, no problem. Second of all, I mean, obviously it's pretty easy to pull the paddles, but you're really concentrating on understanding when to pull the paddles and when to upshift. You don't want to rev it to the moon all the way at red line, and you don't want to lug it all the way down low the whole time. You want to find the meat of the power band. Watch out for these rocks. Find the meat of the power band. In the case of the YXZ, I mean, that could be anywhere from, you know, 4,500, $5,000 all the way to, you know, 9,000 RPMs essentially. So you've got a big range in there where you're just really feeling the throttle and understanding where to shift. Once you get that down, you'll be able to keep your momentum up going into corners, and you're also going to be able to understand how to downshift when you're coming into corners, and that will help you slow down and also help you keep your momentum up as you go around corners. So you're learning how to be smooth, learning how to go fast, and you're learning how to shift effectively, and that at the end of the day will allow you to learn how to shift to the best of your ability. So, what do you think? You gonna keep going?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is a fun machine.
This is about it, man. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for joining us. And we're gonna go have some fun in the desert. And she's gonna pull a couple more upshifts. Just because it's a blast. We'll see you the next time.